right, let's get started. Thank you all for joining us today. And I have the pleasure of introducing our speaker, Dr. Monique Brown. My name is Lucy Ingram, and I am a faculty member in the Arnold School of Public Health at the University of South Carolina. I am also the co-lead of the research education component of the Carolina Center on Alzheimer's Disease and Minority Research, also known as CADMR. I would like to welcome you to our seminar series entitled K Awards, Guidelines for the Application and Submission Process. Today's speaker is Dr. Monique Brown. She is an assistant professor in the Department of Epidemiology and Biostatistics in the Arnold School of Public Health at the University of South Carolina. She is also a faculty affiliate in the Smart State Center for Healthcare Quality, the Rural and Minority Health Research Center, and the Office for the Study of Aging. Dr. Brown received her PhD in epidemiology from the Virginia Commonwealth University and her MPH from the Brown University School of Public Health. Her research focuses on HIV intervention and prevention, childhood trauma, social, behavioral, and mental health, and aging. And we are especially pleased that Dr. Brown is joining us as also a CCADMR Scientist alumnus. So today, Dr. Brown will discuss how scholars can effectively navigate the application and submission process for an NIH Career Development Award, also known as the K Award. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Brown.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ingram. I'll share my screen. Are you seeing it okay? Okay, great. Yes. Thank you. Yes, so good afternoon, everyone. Today I'll be talking about my experience and also general factors to consider when applying for a K Award. So just to give an outline, I'll talk about what is a K Award, types of K Awards, the importance of the mentorship team, the candidate section, the institutional commitment to the candidate, the research strategy section, your reference letters, and then just a summary. And please, if there are any questions while I'm presenting, please feel free to ask them. So what is a K Award? So a K Award is a Research Career Development Award granted by the National Institute of Health that provides individual and institutional research training opportunities. And so the K Award really provides your training for areas that you probably would desire more expertise in, and also you're going to propose some research as well with regards and related to that training. So the KO1, so there are different types of K Awards. So the KO1 is the one which I currently have, and this is for support of a postdoctoral or early career research scientist committed to research in need of both advanced research training and additional experience. Then there are the KO2 and KO5 awards. So the KO2 is more for early to mid-career scientists with research funding but let's say they probably need additional protected time committed to research. So the KO2 will provide that for the applicant. And the KO5 is for senior research scientists with research funding to pursue independent research and to serve as a mentor to more junior research scientists. So sometimes it's probably thought that the K Award is just for early career research scientists, but you can actually be in your, let's say, mid-career, or you can be a senior research scientist. And these awards will provide funding for research and also provide funding to mentor other junior scientists as well. So the KO1 that I have I'm not mentoring students as part of the K award, but I'm receiving mentoring from other senior research scientists. So the KO7 is used to support either a mentored or independent investigator. This one is focused more on enhancing curricula, fostering academic career development of promising young teacher investigators, and to strengthen existing teaching programs. And then we have the K-12, which is for clinicians, newly trained clinicians, but they're also interested in developing their independent research skills and experience in a fundamental science within the framework of an interdisciplinary research and development program. And then there's the K-22, which is also for basic or clinical investigators to develop their independent research skills through a 2-phase program, an initial mentored research experience followed by a period of independent research. And the K-99 ROO grant, sometimes they call this the kangaroo grant because it sort of looks like, you know, kangaroo. So sometimes there are K awards with 2 different phases. So the kangaroo grant is also one that has 2 different phases. So you have the K-99 phase, which is an initial mentored research phase, and then you have the independent research phase or the ROO phase, really for postdoctoral researchers who are highly qualified, who have had some years of experience, and it's used to secure, and these researchers are expected to secure an independent research position for the ROO phase. And this is specific to the K-99 ROO grant, where award recipients are expected to compete successfully for RO1 after the ROO phase, but for other K awards, it's also expected that you are following that research trajectory and will apply for, let's say, an RO1. Sometimes you can apply for an R34 or R21 grant, but it's really expected that you are continuing with the research and will apply for other and higher R-level grants. So we also have the K-23 and K-25 awards. So the K-23 provides support for the career development of clinically trained professionals who are doing patient-oriented research and have the potential to develop into productive clinical investigators. And the K-25 is specific to investigators with quantitative, scientific, and engineering backgrounds outside of biology or medicine, who have made a commitment to focus their research endeavors on basic or clinical biomedical research. So those are the main types of K awards, and we have this graphic from the National Institutes of Health, which shows the trajectory, like a general career trajectory, and we see where the different awards are along this trajectory. So we have the Career Transition Award, K-22. So right in the postdoctoral phase, the KO1, which you can get as a postdoc or as an early career scientist and so forth. So we have the different K awards that are shown on this graphic. And then we have K awards for individuals with a health professional doctorate. So we have, for example, the K-12. So these are for mainly clinicians. So you can have a KO8, you can have a patient-oriented research, K-23, and so forth. So once again, just showing along this sort of trajectory, let's say after medical school, residency, then having a specialty or subspecialty, and then having these, having the opportunity to obtain one of these awards. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about the mentorship team. And as I said, if there are questions as I'm going along, please feel free to ask. So the mentorship team for the K Awards, especially for those where you are proposing to receive mentoring, is very important. The mentorship team is very important. So mentors should be experts in areas where you seek mentorship, and you should try to avoid overlap of expertise. So two mentors should not be mentoring you in one specific topic area. Not that these mentors won't have these fields of expertise, but they should be mentoring you in different areas. Okay, and I have a little table that will show an example of that. So when you're choosing a mentorship team, it's great if mentors are well known in the field. So for example, I was interested in, for my KO1, which is entitled Developing a Trauma-Focused Intervention for Older Adults Living with HIV. So I was interested in having mentors who were well known in the field of trauma and HIV, who are also well known in the field of HIV and aging. So I was able to get a majority of the people who I contacted in terms of them serving as mentors. So it's great that they're well known in the field, but this can be a double-edged sword, okay? So if they're well known in the field and if they're experts, they may not have time to be as involved and as engaged as you would like or as they would like. So I remember one of the mentors, potential mentors that I contacted, she is still well known in the field for trauma and HIV, but she was upfront and said, you know, I don't really have the time. She was mentoring a lot of K awardees at the time. She had a lot of research projects going on. And she was upfront about it and said, you know, I would love to, but I don't have the time, and that's fine. So in that case, I went and found other mentors who were still experts, but they had a little bit more time to offer. So sometimes you can think about having a mixture of senior and mid-career experts. They should have a track record of successfully mentoring candidates at your level, especially if they're senior experts, and the bio sketches should definitely show these points. So you also should designate a primary mentor. So together with the candidate, the primary mentor is responsible for planning the program, directing the program, monitoring and executing the program. So the mentor should have sufficient independent research support to cover the cost of the proposed project in excess of the allowable cost of the award. So this primary mentor is really committing to not only mentoring you in a specific research area, but they should also have independent research funds that can help you in your proposed project. So that's the commitment that they're making. There's also a plan and statement of the primary mentor. So this should have information on their research qualifications or previous experience as a research supervisor. It's a plan that describes the nature of the supervision and mentoring that will occur. It should also have a plan for career progression. So if it's a mentored K award, it should also include how the awardee's career will progress from a mentored state to an independent state, and a plan for monitoring the candidate's research, publications, and progression towards becoming an independent investigator. The primary mentor must also agree to provide annual evaluations of the candidate's progress. Every year for the CARE Award, I have to give an annual progress report. So my annual progress report is actually due today, but I was able to submit it earlier. I think I submitted it to USC last week. So every year you have to give a progress report, and your primary mentor must provide an annual evaluation of your progress. So co-mentors, you can also have co-mentors as part of your mentorship team. So similar information must be provided by the co-mentors. If more than one co-mentor is proposed, the respective areas of expertise and responsibility should be described. Co-mentors should clearly describe how they will coordinate the mentoring. And if any co-mentor is not located at the sponsoring institution, a statement should be provided in terms of frequency of communication with the candidate, the mechanisms. So before, we have we have Zoom today, which is very common, but before, you could also include plans to visit the mentor at their institution and so forth. But Zoom is sort of changing that. But you can definitely still plan and propose in-person meetings with your mentor. So another important piece is if the applicant is proposing to gain experience in a clinical trial, which I propose to gain experience in clinical trials as part of my KO1 award, the mentor or a member of the mentoring team must include a statement to document leadership of that clinical trial. And so they should have the expertise to guide the applicant in the proposed clinical trials research experience. So if you're doing a clinical trial, then you should have a mentor on your team who is an expert in clinical trials research. Okay.
Hi, Monique. This is
Yes.
Lucy. Quick question. I love what you're saying about the importance of the mentorship team, and I think it's certainly resonating. Can you talk about even your personal experience about how you identified mentors? So did you start with the literature, or did you have mentors who you'd worked with before and kind of have conversations with them about suggestions? Were you looking at a national scale or international? Can you kind of tell us about your experience that way?
Yes, thanks, Dr. Ingram. That's a great question. So for my experience with finding mentors, I actually so my primary mentor at the time when I applied for the CARE Award was actually my postdoctoral mentor. So she was the primary mentor at the time I applied. And then I also looked at the literature. So there were, people who I always cited in my research on HIV and aging, or looking at trauma and HIV. And I contacted them, just sending an email introducing myself and telling them that I was applying for a CARE award, and if they would like to be a mentor on my mentorship team. So I was able to just send an email to those who I thought would be great mentors. And I think, as I said, everybody responded. Everybody responded to my emails. And as I said, one of the potential mentors just didn't have a lot of time. So, so you can look at the literature, and most of my mentors were actually in the US. So I didn't have any international mentors, but these are usually people are very open and willing to help in your research. So don't be afraid to reach out. Yes, so that's it. Okay, so, and then alongside with your mentors, you can also have collaborators, contributors, and consultants. So science statements must be provided by collaborators or consultants. So sometimes you might need expertise in an area, and your mentorship team might not have that specific facet of expertise, but you can also include consultants. And I'll show you my list of consultants in a little bit. And information should be provided clearly documenting the appropriate expertise in the proposed areas of consulting or collaboration. So this table shows my mentorship team and consultants and areas of expertise for the proposed KO1 award. And here, so I had my primary mentor, and then the areas of expertise and what the, in terms of their areas of expertise and what they will be contributing to my mentorship team. So as you can see, I have my primary mentor, I had co-mentors, I had 4 co-mentors, and then I had consultants as well. So I had a medical consultant. This Dr. Onweg Boozy was a consultant in mixed methods approaches, because that was one of the areas that I was getting training in and proposed to do mixed methods research. So that, so this is just a table to show you, to give you an example of how you can talk about your mentors and the areas of expertise. So any questions so far? Okay, great table. Thanks, Dr. Ingram. So, okay, so now we'll go into the candidate section. So this is the area where you have to sell yourself as a candidate, as an applicant for the K Award. So for the candidate background, you describe your commitment to a health-related research career. You can describe your professional responsibilities in your institution and describe their relationship to what you're proposing for the career award, and describe your prior training and how it relates to the objectives and long-term career plans of the candidate. So, for example, I was trained in epidemiology, but I wanted a little bit more training in specific substantial areas, such as I stated before, HIV and aging, trauma and HIV, mixed methods research, including qualitative studies, as well as clinical trials research experience. So even though I had the quantitative skills, I proposed that I wanted to receive training in qualitative research methods, mixed methods, research methods, and describing my commitment to a research career that's focused on specific health outcomes. In my instance, HIV and aging was what I was proposing. So you have to sell yourself as a K Award applicant in terms of, I have these skills, but these are the skills that I need additional training in. And by receiving additional training, this is the research that I would like to conduct as a result. So you also describe your research efforts. So in terms of my candidate background, so I talked about the research that I had up until that point. So I had a lot of research experience in HIV, but not necessarily HIV and aging. I had some experience in trauma research, but not necessarily the intersection of trauma and HIV. So you describe what you have accomplished up until that point, including your publications, your prior research interests and experience. And then you also provide evidence of your potential to develop into an independent investigator. So you don't want to be, so it's kind of tricky because you don't want to say you've accomplished, you don't want to say you've accomplished everything, because you know, at that point, you want to receive training in a specific area. But you have to describe and portray that you have the potential to become an independent investigator, because a lot of times the K awards really help you along your trajectory from being a mentored research scientist into becoming an independent investigator. And then the publications, your prior research interests and experience, your reference letters will also, should also address this point. So you should also describe a systematic plan that shows a logical progression from your prior research and training to the research and career development experiences that you're proposing to do within the career award period, and then to becoming an independent investigator. And you should justify the need for further career development to become an independent investigator. So once again, as I mentioned before, you want to sell yourself that you have the potential to be an independent investigator. And this is specifically for the mentored research K awards. As I mentioned before, there are K awards for senior research scientists that may have a little bit of a different approach in terms of trying to get more funding for their research or a new research area. But once again, you're trying to sell yourself as that you will be successful if you're given the award. And then the candidate must demonstrate that you have received training or you will participate in certain courses such as data management, epidemiology, study design, hypothesis development. And another important objective that the NIH likes to see is that you have you should have a goal where you're trying to learn more in terms of legal and ethical issues associated with human subjects research and clinical trials. So for example, for my proposal, I had a training goal of learning more in terms of the responsible conduct of research. So that's something that they like to see. So in terms of the candidate's plan for career development, so the candidate and the primary mentor, they're jointly responsible for preparing the career development plan. A timeline is often helpful, and I'll show an example of a timeline. And the mentor and any co-mentor may form a mentoring team to assist with the development of the program of study or to monitor the candidate's progress through the award. So in terms of research aspects of the plan, these should be designed to develop the necessary knowledge and research skills in scientific areas relevant to what you're proposing, and the plan should also describe the professional responsibilities and activities, including other research projects beyond the minimum time required. So, if for example, if your K award is 75% of your time, they want to know what will your other 25% look like. Are you going to be teaching? Are you going to be doing other research and collaborating with other scientists? So, and you should explain how these responsibilities will help ensure career progression to achieve investigator independence. So they want to know that if you're committing a certain percent effort, what is your other percent effort, your remaining percent effort, what will that look like in terms of your responsibilities? So I have an example of a career development plan. This just shows my specific training goals and training/research goals. And then I have the training activities that I was doing in specific months at a time. And so here I have one-on-one mentorship with my different co-mentors. I have the areas that I'm learning about here. So this career development plan shows really the training activities. And so I also propose to attend different workshops on behavioral interventions, doing a secondary analysis project. So this just shows the training activities and in terms of the training/research goals that I'm trying to achieve. And they wanted to know, in terms of the percent effort, they wanted to know, okay, what will these percent efforts look like? So that's something you can include as well. So in terms of the environmental and institutional commitment to the candidate, so the institution must be committed to the candidate, and they must show this through a statement. So the sponsoring institution must document a strong, well-established research and career development program related to the area in which you're proposing to do research. There should also be key faculty members and other investigators with whom you can collaborate with. And you should also describe how the institutional research environment is particularly suited for your development as a research scientist and the pursuit of the proposed research plan. And you're also going to describe the resource and facilities that are available to the candidate. So they want to see that the institutional environment is one in which you will thrive and one in which you will be able to conduct your proposed research and also attain the necessary training. So the sponsoring institution must also provide a statement of commitment to the candidate's development. And it should be clear that the institutional commitment to the candidate is not contingent upon receiving the award. So in this institutional commitment letter, they have to state that, you know, we are committed to this candidate even if he or she or they don't receive the award, right? So that must be clear, and provide assurance that the candidate will be able to do the minimum time required based on the percent effort for the grant, and the remaining effort, as I mentioned before, should be devoted to activities related to your development as an independent scientist. So whether that's other research projects, collaborating with other research scientists, and so forth. So in terms of the, once again, the institutional commitment, so the institution should provide the candidate with the appropriate office space, or if you're using lab space, and other resources and facilities, including access to research populations to carry out the research plan that you have proposed. And the institution should also provide assurance that appropriate time and support will be available or any proposed mentors and or other staff consistent with the career development plan. So once again, they just want to see that the institution is committed to your development, to your research proposal, and to your trajectory, your continued trajectory into becoming an independent scientist. Okay, so we're moving on to the research strategy. So in terms of the research strategy or the research plan, it's very important. So when I was first applying for my K award, someone had misinformed me that the research plan or the research strategy was not as important because it was a training grant. That is not true. That is not true. They want to see a sound research project. Even though this is a training grant, it's a training/research grant because reviewers want to see that even though you're requesting training in a specific area, you know what the research plan is supposed to be. You have received the input from your mentors, from your mentorship team to make a sound research plan, right? So a sound research project that is consistent with your level of research development and objectives of career development plan must be provided. So the research description should demonstrate the quality of your research so far. And also they want to see that whatever you're proposing is innovative, whatever you're proposing is significant. They want to see that the approach is well laid out, is well explained, and they want to see your creativity in terms of what you're proposing, as well as the ability to carry out the proposed research. So the description of the relationship between the mentor's research and the candidate's proposed research should also be included because they want to see that there's a difference between the mentor's research and especially the primary mentor. They want to see that there's a differentiation between the primary mentor's research and whatever research the candidate is proposing. So the research plan is very important. And once again, if you're interested in doing clinical trials, there should be an explanation describing the relationship of the proposed research project to the clinical trials. So I had to do this, as I mentioned before, because I wanted to receive training and also to do a pilot clinical trial for my K award. So this just shows the research timeline that I had proposed. So in terms of the specific tasks, and then years 1 through, I proposed the 5-year award or 5-year period to do the training and the research. And so I put a little arrow here to show where I am today. So I'm actually in the middle of doing the pilot intervention that I proposed. So, you know, I'm ending year 4. So I have 1 more year to do the pilot intervention and to do everything else that I proposed. So, you know, I was able to do the qualitative analyses and data collection, quantitative data collection, mixed methods, data analyses, and so forth. So now I'm in the pilot intervention phase. So this is a way in which you can show your research timeline, the specific tasks, and then the years, and then the specific months and what you plan to do for those specific months. So I mentioned this briefly. So all applications must include a plan to fulfill NIH requirements for instruction in the responsible conduct of research. So if you're going to attend classes, so one class that I was able to attend here at U of SC was actually in the psychology department, where they had a class specific to responsible conduct of research. So I was able to attend that class. It was very, I learned a lot in that class, and a lot of things that I learned were definitely reminders, because I've had to do responsible conduct of research training before. So you can do this through classes, one-on-one meetings with your mentors, or if there's seminars or workshops that you can attend, that would be great too. But they want to see a plan in terms of what you're going to do to attain this training in RCR. So in terms of reference letters, so for the KO1, and I think for most KO awards, reference letters or letters of recommendation are needed. So it's suggested that you have at least 3, but no more than 5. And the letters should be from individuals not directly involved in the application. So, so your mentors cannot write a recommendation letter. So I remember when I applied, for example, one of my letters of recommendation was from my PhD advisor. So he wasn't a part of the mentorship team, but he could talk directly to my research interests, my qualifications, my training. So, so the letter should be from those individuals who are not a part of your project, but who can talk to those factors. And as I stated before, the mentor co-mentors cannot be counted towards your reference letters. So I think, you know, I think in summary, the K awards are great opportunities to obtain additional training, to have protected time to conduct your research that you have proposed. I did hear, I think I've only heard one person who said this to me. And this person said that, oh, maybe the K is can be seen as a quote unquote disadvantage, because what about teaching? What about other research opportunities? But you can actually, if you dedicate, for example, I think the least you can dedicate to a K award is 75%, for example, at least for the KO1. So if you dedicate 75% of your percent effort to your K award, you can definitely have time for teaching and time to collaborate on other research opportunities. For example, that's what I'm doing now. So I teach social epidemiology, I teach scientific writing, but my chair was very supportive in the sense that my teaching load is not the same as maybe other faculty members. So, so my chair was very supportive in that fact. So this is something that you can think about negotiating with your institution in terms of receiving the K award. So even though a few people, and as I said, I've only heard this from one person who may see the K as a disadvantage, I really think it's a great jumpstart to your research trajectory, where you get that protected time and you're able to do other activities in terms of trying to become an independent investigator. And it also provides data for future grant applications. So if you're planning to apply for an R01 or an R34, for example. R34, I think, are specific mainly to interventions, research, and developing interventions. So I think it's a great jumpstart to your research trajectory and a great opportunity for scientists. So I think that's it. So if there are any other questions, I can stop sharing.
That was fantastic, Monique. Thank you so much, and really greatly appreciate your personal take on your own experience and kind of things that we should make sure to avoid as pitfalls. So we do have one, and I'm curious about the person who said it was a disadvantage if they were a person on the receiving end of the K, or someone who maybe hires someone who may have a K. So that we can talk about that another time. But yeah, I've only heard positive things about K. Also from the perspective of other colleagues, right? It's really an esteemed type of award mechanism. And so inviting you today was really in direct response to some of our own current CADMR scientists who were interested in perhaps this is an opportunity for their future. So again, thank you. So we do have one question in the chat. And Zara, feel free if you want to unmute yourself, but I can read what you have in the chat for you as well. Thank you for this great talk. How about if we can't find a primary mentor in our institution or among previous collaborators or advisors, the most issue here can be a lack of previous mentor-mentee relationship or research collaboration. So what can be the solution?
Okay, that's a great question. Yeah. So if you're unable to find a primary mentor in your institution, I think that can be a challenge, because I think the reviewers or NIH, they like to see that you at least your primary mentor is within your current institution. But this is something that you can talk to also like a program officer about in terms of what their take is on that. So for example, when I applied for the K Award, I was at the University of South Florida. And then when I received the award, I was just about to leave USF for University of South Carolina. So my program officer mentioned at the time that I needed to have a mentor within the institution that I was going to. So that's how I started to work with Dr. Xiaoming Li, who does a lot of research on HIV and intervention. So it can be a challenge, but I think that's something that you can definitely talk to a program officer about to see what their take is on that.
Great response. Thank you. Colin, is that a high five or you have a question? You're muted.
I know it's a question, but it's always a high five though, because like Monique's amazing. This was an awesome, very informative presentation. So thank you. My question is, it might be like a bit too far out, but what can doctoral candidates start doing now to prepare for applying for a K award?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in terms of if you're a doctoral candidate and you're looking in terms of trying to apply for a K award, let's say in a postdoctoral position, I would begin to just think about the research that you're doing now and how you can enhance that research in terms of additional training. So the research that you're doing as a doctoral candidate in terms of your dissertation work, you can start to think now how you can build on that in terms of trying to get additional training and to sort of further enhance your research trajectory. So yes, so because when I was a doctoral candidate working on my dissertation, I worked on adverse childhood experiences and sexual health outcomes and behaviors. And so I was able to use the research that I did as a PhD student or as a doctoral candidate to say, this is what I've accomplished so far. But this is what, but this area in terms of the intersection of HIV and trauma, this area is what I want to enhance in terms of getting more training and add to my research trajectory. And if you're planning on doing a postdoctoral position, think again about how your K award can help to add to that experience, because you can apply for K awards during your postdoc. So, so when I was a postdoc, I did more HIV research, but there was not that aging component. So I could say I have trauma research experience during my doctoral candidacy. I have HIV experience during my postdoctoral fellowship, but I would like to do more in aging, and I would like to do more about in the intersection of these areas. So just even now you can start to begin to think, how will your research trajectory be enhanced?
That's very helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, great question, Colin. Great response, Monique, because I was even jotting down a question about, regardless of your stage, actually, what are some strategies that people can start employing as they're preparing for an application? Should they be not only thoughtful about identifying potential mentors? Should they be crafting communication? Should they be strategically finding ways to work with these mentors, perhaps?
Yes.
Should they be, thinking about, are there some kind of quick, productive type of papers, that can come up? So there's an identified there's evidence of some type of previous collaboration. Should they be drafting documents and sending them to people? So any thoughts about that?
Yes, that's a great point, Dr. Ingram, in terms of, and I think Zara had mentioned it in the chat in terms of previous mentor-mentee relationship. So if you're able to publish with mentors, so you can, as Dr. Ingram mentioned, you can start reaching out to potential mentors, start working with them on projects that they may have going on. And so it would be great if you have a previous mentor-mentee relationship, especially with your primary mentor. So for my application, I didn't have previous relationships per se, mentor-mentee relationships with my co-mentors. But my primary mentor at the time, as I stated before, she was my postdoctoral mentor. So they want to see that there is some relationship there in terms of research, doing research with them, and that can definitely help to strengthen your mentorship team and your proposal.
Fantastic. Any final questions? This was quite a thorough presentation. Yes, we will be posting the recording on our CCADMR website. So thank you for asking. Any other questions while you have the opportunity to speak with someone who's won a K? Well, seeing none, I'll shift to my closing remarks. So thank you again to all of you for joining us today. And we do have a couple of announcements for your information. So first, as a way to ensure that we continue to deliver quality, timely, and relevant content during these seminars, we ask you to complete a brief survey about your experience today. As you'll see here, we have our QR code, so feel free to scan that. So a way to retrieve the survey, or also you will get an email from us at the conclusion of the seminar, and you'll be linked emailed a link to complete the survey.